Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, but if you are somebody new, my name is Carla and I make videos about how I show up for myself in hopes to inspire you to show up for yourself. By showing up for myself, I managed to lose over half my body weight, transformed my mental health and completely changed my entire life. And if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I release videos and vlogs every week. And if you want to be part of this community, click that subscribe button. But in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about mindset. I speak an awful lot about mindset, mental health, and the impact that having a better relationship with my mental health had on my ability to lose weight. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about 5 different ways that I helped to change my mindset in order to lead me to be able to lose weight and to maintain that weight loss. I lost 183 pounds in 14 months. I'll leave a full video linked somewhere. I'll get this right one day. Before I get into the 5 different things, I just wanted to preface this by talking about mental health and the importance of mental health. And when we speak about mental health, we typically kind of think about the negatives of it, and we think about depression, anxiety, postnatal depression, bipolar, addiction, all these different things. But we never really think about the kind of opposite of that, like good mental health and actually good mental strength. So resilience and building that up. And in order to do so, I just wanted to share with you that this is really a consistent practice. This is not something that you realize one day, you work through and then you're fixed forever, unfortunately. If you think about it in relation to a relationship, if you and your partner, your husband, your wife, whomever, if you just were all the time and if you didn't make any active attempts to do something together, to show your love and your kindness and to work on your relationship would get stale. And it's the same thing with your relationship with yourself, which I believe that relationships with ourselves are relationships with our mental health. And what we're trying to do is build up that mental strength and mental resilience and good mental health. And these are ways in which I helped to shift my mindset, see things differently, that helped me then to become a better, more rounded person and to help me to change my entire life. So let's get into the 5 ways that I changed my mindset. It's a word that gets bandied about a lot, and I think that we don't really focus down on the meaning of it, and that is gratitude. One thing that I had to change and really had to figure out was being grateful. I remember when I listened and read and watched The Secret years ago. Now, don't turn off. I'm not telling you that this is what I'm telling you to go do. But a big part of The Secret or manifestation or any of these things is about being grateful. And it's being in the attitude of gratitude. And when you are focusing more on what you're grateful for, you're coming from a more abundant place. You're coming from a place of that there is a lot, as opposed to a place of lack. I lived 32 years in a place of lack. When the practice of gratitude came up, and actually any time I had the practice of gratitude, I was really coming from a place of I will be grateful when. I will be grateful when I lose weight. I will be grateful when I have a boyfriend. I will be grateful when they give me that job promotion. By coming from that place, I was looking externally. So it's almost like comparison. It's looking at external things and not focusing on what we actually have. A little exercise that I could recommend for you guys to do is to take 1 minute. Just take a piece of paper and a timer for 1 minute on your phone and open up a page. And I would suggest writing every single thing on that page in 1 minute that you would miss if it was gone tomorrow, if it didn't exist tomorrow. So say, for example, your bed, your family, your house, the weather, the sun, your shoes, your oxygen, your heating, your electricity, your phone. These are all things that we take for granted on a daily basis, and we don't start to become more grateful, and we don't start to look into what we have and how abundant and how lucky we are. Because if you are watching this, I've said this before, if you are watching this, you are probably a more privileged person. And I used to think, well, I'm not very privileged because I don't have X, Y, and Z. But I am very privileged. I'm an extremely privileged person, and we might have all different layers of socioeconomic dependency or income, and we might live in different areas. But if you've got electricity, you've got running water, you have a house, you have food on the table, and you have got a little bit of money in the bank, you're probably doing better than the majority of people in the world. We don't live in a war zone. I hope if you're watching this, you don't live in a war zone. I don't. And I have so much to be grateful for. And that you might be thinking, what is that got to do with weight loss? But being grateful and changing my mindset, and again, I'll link that video up here all about my mental health aspect of my weight loss. Changing my mindset to focus on not what I don't have, but what I do have, helped me to become more honest with myself about what I had been gifted in the world and how lucky I am, and actually how much I was taking for granted. I started to become grateful for my body, and for my body for carrying me through the world despite the abuse that I had put it through, and the shame I had put it through, and the negative talk, and all of these different horrible things I did for my body. But my body was still able to carry me through life and to give me the vehicle to be on this earth. And without that body, I would not exist. I started to become grateful for my legs, even though my legs were one of the bit that I hated the most. But they were able to walk me to places that I wanted to go. They were able to help me to move upstairs. They were able to help me do different things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So changing that mindset to become more grateful was something that helped me to look inside myself, as opposed to continuously looking outside. Number 2 is I had to become, and it's kind of coming from gratitude, it kind of moves into this area, and that I needed to become a victor as opposed to a victim. Or at least, if not a victor, stop blaming everybody else and stop being a victim. We don't have to necessarily, I would see it that we have a victim, then just a person, and then a victor. And if we get from that victim mentality into just a being person, and then we can get up to that victor, like somebody who is full of victory. And I believe that's where I live now. And as I said, these are not constant states. These are things that I have to continue to work on. But I 100% was a victim. Everything was somebody else's fault. I was constantly blaming everybody. Now, and blaming myself, but there was blame. It was being a victim. I can't do that because of my weight. I can't do that because of my body. My body won't allow me to do that. Oh, I can go into these shops and they don't serve my size. This is ridiculous. This is against me. I can't lose weight because that program doesn't work. And instead of being a victim and seeing it as the world is against me, I had to start looking in at myself and seeing what my role was in my situation, without blame and without shame. Yes, things had happened to me, but it wasn't somebody else's responsibility to make me feel better about those things and to fix anything. If I wanted to change my being and change the way I was, it was my responsibility to stop being a victim and to become just a person who takes action and does things. And by doing that, and by changing that mentality from being a victim into just a regular standard person, I was able then to do those things, those actions that led me to becoming a victor, to getting to goal, to changing my mental health, to changing my career. Number 3 then is that I had to start reframing my thinking. I needed to, again, coming from that victim to victor mentality, I needed to start to see things in a slightly different way and reframe my thinking from, oh, this is never going to work for me. I'm never going to be able to lose weight. And instead of kind of honing in on those thoughts, I needed to start to reframe the way I saw things. So for example, when it came to walking, I needed to reframe my walk as something that I got to do. And I know that this, if you've ever been in Body Slims, this is something that Jared talks a lot about, is instead of it being that walk that I have to do, it's like I get to walk. That's coming from that gratitude place. It's coming from that abundance. This is an opportunity for me. I get to do this. I get to wake up every morning and go to work. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. I get to do that. And you can even see like, ugh, I have to too. I get to. It's a much more expansive feeling. The I have to is very negative and closed off, whereas the I get to is expansive. It's expanding. It's an encouraging feeling. I get to do this. I get to eat really healthy. I get to do the things that I've always wanted to do. Yes, this is difficult, and we're not taking away the idea that weight loss or changing our mental health and any of those parts are difficult, are easy. They're not. But it's finding a way to reframe it so that it's not this enclosed thing, it becomes this expansive idea. I get to do this program that's going to help me to lose weight. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do it. Yes, that I was admonished in the hospital last week for being overweight. But I'm not going to be a victim of that person. I am going to rise above it and I am going to do what I need to do. It's giving you that power. Have you ever seen that TED talk about that power stance where you stand like literally like in your power? It gives you, when you reframe your thinking, reframe your thoughts, reframe what you're saying about these things that we have to do to get to do, you become much more powerful in yourself. Number 4, and probably the most significant one for me in terms of changing my mindset overall, was that I had to rewrite my narrative. My narrative was a story that I had told myself about myself, my place in the world and my worth, what I liked to do, what I didn't like to do. And this is something that I never questioned. It was just this ongoing narrative running through my head 24/7 for 32 years. I never ever thought any different to this. I just kept going with this thought process. And then I realized this didn't serve me. And that actually, when you start to look at what we're telling ourselves, we start to look at that narrative that we live by, it's almost like a script that was written for us, and that everything is this kind of predetermined idea in the world and that we have no power over it. But I honestly believe that we have so much more power than we give ourselves credit for when we start to examine our behaviors and what we're doing and what we're thinking, and start to kind of question, where is that thought coming from? What is that thought about? That's nothing to do with me. Another narrative that I lived by my whole life is that I'm extremely sensitive, that I'm overly sensitive, that I cry at the drop of a hat. You can never say anything to me. I wear my heart in my sleeve. I'm too open. I'm too vulnerable. Being overly sensitive and crying was a script that was given onto me as a child. And it's a script then and a narrative that I looked for backup for and proof of my whole life. If something happened to me that was sad and I cried, see, look, you're too sensitive. That's what everybody told you. So it's like a confirmation bias. You're looking for those things that confirm either a negative or positive. And in my term, they were confirming a really negative thing for me. You're too sensitive, you know, something that naturally could happen, you know, that is perfectly acceptable to cry, to be sensitive to being given out to. And I would cry, and then it would reaffirm that thought process, that script, that narrative that I am overly sensitive. And as I went through my change and through my process of learning about myself and starting to understand myself, I started to realize that actually I never allowed myself to get to know my true feelings because I was so afraid of being overly sensitive. I had kind of started to shut off and started to create a boundary, a barrier around me so that people wouldn't see this sensitive side. That being sensitive was a negative thing, and that I would never allow myself to really show the true me to somebody because of this narrative that I lived by. And I had to start to take down that narrative and rewrite it and rewrite that script. When Vincent and I first met, my partner and I first met, he actually called me tough girl. That was the very first impression that he got from me because I had resting bitch face. I was very like, don't screw with me, you know, that kind of way. And it was difficult for him to penetrate the barrier that I had created. And he only got glimpses of it, but it was the glimpses that made him fall in love with me. And then, you know, he played the long game, and 5 years later, I started to take those barriers down. And he started to get to see the real me. And now, instead of seeing myself, the narrative that I had, that I was overly sensitive, I've changed that now so that I'm an emotional person. I am in touch with my emotions. I am emotionally mature. I understand feelings, and I am an open person and an honest and authentic person because of that change in that narrative. By changing the narrative about myself, it allowed me to become more in touch with the true me. And by becoming more in touch with the true me, then I was able to start to rewrite those narratives like I don't like walking, I can't lose weight, and rewrite them by doing the actions and allowing myself to be open to rewriting those so that I would have a new script, and a new script that I could live by that is actually honest and true to me, and that helps me to live my life now. That is the script that I have rewritten. And then the final mindset change that I had to make in order to lose weight, and that helped me to lose weight, is actually something that's quite practical. And if you've ever seen a video of me before, you've heard me talk about grounding. When we speak about grounding, we often think of going out into a forest in our bare feet, you know, touching, having the forest floor or the sea, and really getting to connect with that. And that is a wonderful and amazing process and practice to have, but it's not the reality for many of us because we're incredibly busy. And when I speak about grounding, it's a practice to bring us to be present in our body. I was never present. I was always thinking about the past or the future. I was thinking about what everybody else was thinking about me. I was very anxious, worried about social anxiety. I was worried if I was going to fit into a chair. I was worried if I was going to need a seatbelt extender. I was worried that I was not going to be able to access food. I had constant thoughts. I was never ever present in the moment of what was happening. And so I had to start to learn to be present by grounding. By grounding yourself, what happens is you bring yourself back into your present body, into your prefrontal cortex, so that you, the adult you, can make decisions. Because when we're in the back, when we're not present, when we're not grounded, we're in the back here and we're going a bit loopy, and we're not acting from a place that is serving us best, especially when it comes to decision making around food. I had to learn to be present in my body, to allow the adult me, the adult Carla, 32, 33, 34, to take over, and to be present and mindful of the decisions that I was making and how they were going to affect me. By being grounded, and by being grounding, I literally mean feeling your feet, rocking your feet back and forth, making sure, wiggle your toes, see that sensation, touch your legs, get present, get into your body. And by doing so, I was able to ask myself questions such as, will this bring me closer to or further away from my goal? If I eat this, is this something that I actually need? Am I hungry, or am I feeling a little bit emotional? Am I feeling a little bit sad? Am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling bored? And by being grounded and being present in my body, I was able to assess myself better, to make decisions from that prefrontal cortex as opposed to making decisions from my lizard brain in the back. And by doing so, that is what helped me then to be able to make decisions, to be able to be present, to be able to do the right thing that I needed to do. And no, it wasn't easy. This is not it's simple, but it's not an easy process. But by being present in your body, you are able to make decisions that are serving you and your goals better. Guys, this is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've actually really enjoyed making this video. I know it's kind of a couple of things I've touched on before, but I think that these mindset changes, and I cannot express to you or tell, I don't ever want anybody to underestimate the impact and the importance of your mental health, and the importance that will have on whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life, and the mindset, and how changing your mindset and how you are capable of changing your mindset. As an aside, I just wanted to share something with you that maybe might be a little bit of food for thought for some of us. I know there is an expression, everything happens for a reason. I do not believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that for me, and this is just my opinion, my personal opinion, is when we say that everything happens for a reason, it is giving power to an external force. It's giving power to some preordained path that we are walking on. But I don't believe that. I believe that we take reason from everything that happens to us. We learn from things that happen for us. We either don't, or we can, or we don't. But I believe that the thing happens and then we make the reason, not the reason happens and then the thing happens. And that shift helped me actually to be able to change from thinking that I was powerless to realizing that I was powerful. I just want to leave that with you. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave me, let me see, we leave a kitty cat for the one that's attacking my lovely satin skirt as we do this. Please no claws on my skirt, but you know what, guys, leave me an emoji of your choice, and please make sure you're subscribed, like this video, and let me know if you've had any mind shift changes or changes in the way you think down in the comments. I love to hear from you guys and your experience, because we are all amazing people and we've all can teach each other so much, and there are some people who are much wiser than I am in the comments. So please leave any mindset shifts or any experience you've had of changing your mindset and how it's helped you. I will love you and leave you, and please do not forget to show up for yourselves. Bye, guys. These dogs that bark all the time. Seriously. You'd actually need your nose, Carla.